Welcome to our home base again here in Clark. So today's morning episode, we're gonna be meeting up with Danny. So Danny's this local super cyclist, but his workout today will be about his zone training.
Zone training. So you're going to see definitely a higher cadence from him, but he's working a specific area, so that's why he's doing that. And then you're going to see us doing our torque training. So you're going to see a much lower cadence, lower heart rate, and we got to try to keep up with him.
Okay, so the main idea for today's workout is the different types of systems that you can develop. One is for cardiovascular, so that's zone training based on heart. That requires a lot of high RPM. And then torque training, which is about low heart rate but working on your muscles. So hopefully the visual examples today would show you the difference of the two types of training systems. But the main dish today is climbing up pader.
Woo. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, always is.
Okay, so we're gonna be climbing up pader and then enjoy.
When we ride in Clark, literally our backyard, we have several loops that we use. One of those loops goes up to this very famous stretch of road, 8 kilometers long. It's called Pader. In Pader, this is where we practice our posture. This is where we perfect the way we hold the bikes, because biomechanics is such an important part of your basic foundation, where this is where you really have to focus on. We always remember that proper technique equals speed. Proper posture equals speed. So before we even talk about low RPM training or torque training, we have to make sure that your bike fit is optimized for you to reduce the stress on your lower back, on your hands, on your fingers, on your biceps, on your legs. This is the foundation of our biomechanical tuning program, where all the newbies come in, and we have to make sure that everything is set up for you to be able to do the posture that is needed, to have a lower frontal area, to have free speed, and at the same time to be able to enjoy every bicycle ride. As simple as that. Now, our number one challenge is that Tom and I, and majority of our CRZ members, are not young men anymore. Danny here is one of the fittest guy we've met on the road. He has this ability to really crunch and put out a high cadence pedaling style. And I still remember when I was younger, on my early teens and late 20s, when I was still racing, high RPM was a tried and tested technique, as long as you're fit. Unfortunately, time passes, time flies, and even for myself, I don't have dreams of bringing back those golden years. I think that boat has sailed already. But at the same time, even at our late 40s, we still want to, ride fast. So the only way we can cope up with our friends like Danny, who are super fit, and literally he is climbing Pader at 32 kilometers per hour at 2% gradient, 3% gradient, but he can just keep up the speed. For me, personally, and Tommy, to be able to keep up with him, we have to employ a different kind of a style. And this is where we employ emphasis on torque. Basically, the summary is there are two ways of going the same speed. In this case, how can I keep up with Danny at 32 to 33 kilometers per hour going uphill? If I do his style, my heart rate will blow up. So instead of stressing my heart, I transfer the stress to a bigger muscle group. And this is the reason why a lot of our vlogs are focused on newbies and senior riders. Some of them even had triple bypass already, suffering from weight management. Some have sugar issues, but everyone can work on their core strength and their muscle strength. But not everyone has the time and luxury of training to be able to keep their heart optimized. So for weekend riders like us, and we're not shy to admit that, the only way we can keep up with Danny and the younger guys is to use our bigger muscle groups, our hamstrings, our abdominal muscles, our oblique muscles. But again, this is only possible if your bike fits you. And you can see here from the side view how the difference in fit changes the way you pedal and the way you hold your bike. This particular bike that I'm using was made to measure for my physical measurements. And one of the highlights is you will instantly see the difference between the distance of my hoods to my hips. Now, if you compare that to Danny, Danny's a little bit too far, meaning his hoods are a little bit too far from his seat, so it forces his body to move forward. Hence, he has now to use some of his lower back muscles, and sometimes when you're tired, you tend to rock around. In the case of our made-to-measure posture or biomechanics, we try to focus on shortening the distance between my hoods and my hips, and this allows me now to really perform a high torque pedaling technique. So just remember, do not just copy and paste this or else you might just hurt yourself. There's a reason and there's a big story behind every single technique. It's not just as simple as watching and copying. I have to train all the time to perfect this posture. Same thing with the CRZ members. But the good news about it, it doesn't matter what background you have. If you only started biking a month ago, it doesn't matter. If you employ this technique, it might help you ride better, happier, and do it every day.
Nice workout, Tom.
Clark, Friday morning. Yeah, dude.
Okay, so when you have time here in Clark, we usually have sessions like that just for fun. So today's episode is all about the difference between heart rate zone training and torque training. So torque training is all about the muscles, zone training is all about the heart rate. So there are different ways to get fitter, different styles. So you can see you. So today Danny was doing his heart rate zone training. Tom and I, we had to do our torque training because we're getting a little bit old than usual. Right, Tom? Wow. Anyway, Tom, I was telling the guys over here in Clark, you can do different types of training because the traffic is managed.
Yes.
So today, that's Danny, right?
Danny, yeah.
So Danny was doing his heart rate zone training.
Yep.
So that's the difference between zone-based training versus torque training. So Tom and I were doing torque training just because we wanted to get our muscles going with a super low heart rate. So you saw the difference between high heart rate and low heart rate, okay? Thanks again for joining us today. Bye.
Now, last weekend, we attended the community ride organized by MONTON. And since CRZ is a community and we really support community rides to bring people together, because we just think that cycling is a lifestyle that we can share. Roads are open that we can share with other motorists. So we went to Tagaytay during the weekend, and the ride was about, they called it Ikot Taal. Basically, we're just gonna go around the Taal Lake and would usually take more or less more than 6 hours of riding. Goes up and down and up, but we're gonna be passing through some of the most scenic places here in the south, in the highlands of Tagaytay. So we start here at the famous landmark in Tagaytay called Tagaytay Rotonda. This is the location of the MONTON store, and we've been supporting their initiative to organize a lot of community rides, and a lot of our CRZ newbies, members are super supportive of these types of initiatives. So we were able to mix it up with a lot of new faces, old faces, even familiar faces that we usually meet in events. And this time we're just gonna be riding as a group, and we start off early in the morning in the place called Cityland. So here we approach the Tagaytay Rotonda, and from here you can see on the left side of the road the infamous Taal volcano. Taal volcano is one of the smallest considered World Heritage landmark because it's one of the smallest volcanoes in the world. And what I like about Tagaytay as a location for bikers is that the elevation of 2,800 feet makes the weather here very conducive for cycling. The temperatures hover around 25 degrees Celsius, and we are greeted by a 12-kilometer downhill. This downhill passes through some of the most, I could literally say, beautiful roads here in Tagaytay, because the entire 12-kilometer road system is number one, asphalted. The roads are very clean, especially, I think, if I remember it right, they organized the longboard championships in this road. Hence, they had to repair the whole route to be conducive for longboard racing. Right side would be Taal Lake, and the first few kilometers of the ride you will encounter super smooth asphalt roads. Drivers are very respectful. Everyone knew how to ride the downhill part of this route. Sometimes, if you are very experienced, you will really enjoy your bike. It amplifies how you can control your handling, but at the same time, single file is advisable whenever you ride in this route. So if you manage to see our previous videos, we talked about the value of center of gravity, the value of understanding how you can manipulate the bike, the value of using your drops instead of just your hoods, especially on those fast switchbacks, because the difference here in Sampaloc Road is that the entire 12-kilometer route is not a straight shot. Every few hundred meters there's a switchback, a 90-degree elbow bend. Sometimes it just dives down all the way down. Unfortunately, because of the start of the rainy season, sometimes you would encounter sections where the soil has drifted in the middle of the road, just like what you see here on the right side of the road. So it's very important that you shift your weight all the way at the back of the saddle, so just in case you need to brake, you can use your rear wheel as an anchor. But the only way you can do that with much control is if you can hold on to your drops. If you decide to hold on to your hoods, just take it slow, and you can use both brakes to slow you down, or if you think the road is a little bit sketchy, just like so, like this one that we are encountering, it's much better for you to hold on to your drops, keep your body low, feather the brakes, and as soon as you have clear roads, just make sure that you are looking 50 to 500 100 meters ahead of you. Seeing the road ahead is one of the skills that you have to also practice, because then you become predictable. You know how to approach every bend. You know how to measure the braking force on your levers. You have to stay steady on the bike. Keep your eye on the corner. Make sure that you see ahead of you. It's very important that you focus on the road ahead of you so you see if there are incoming traffic. At the same time, you have to make sure that your sense of hearing is amplified. Sometimes what I do is that I use the cue of hearing faint sounds of engines or cars honking their horns to give me an idea that there might be some incoming traffic going on. When you encounter a cyclist in front of you, before passing them, make sure that they know that you are passing. On the corners, it's the same thing. You just have to make sure that you brake and slow down and not surprise people, or else it might cause a lot of accidents. So we reached the bottom of the lake. This is where everyone had to wait for the other people who were left behind in the downhill. And it's just a really good practice for you to wait for your friends, regroup, catch your breath before everyone starts their ride again. So this is the infamous Sampaloc Road. This particular intersection is the same intersection that we will go back to as part of the big loop. So from here, that was a really good 12-kilometer warm-up. Now we start the long road ahead. So 133 kilometers total, minus 12 kilometers, then we only have a few kilometers to go. A whole day. You can see everyone from all sorts of background, all sorts of bikes. Just wonderful to see a lot of people joining. Now along the way, from Sampaloc Road, we passed through Talisay, Tanawan, all the way to Santo Tomas, Batangas. This is a very long rolling highway, snakes around the Taal Lake area until we go beyond the lake and reach Santo Tomas, Batangas. But the entire route is a very slight uphill. It ranges from 5% gradient, sometimes 2%, 1%, but it never goes down until we reach Santo Tomas, Batangas. This is where we try to practice the CRZ community habit and technique of riding in single pace line, keeping the gaps together, and making sure that the rider in front is the one in charge of the pace. So for this specific section, I'll be the one in front. My job is to be very sensitive
Sa CRC.
with how everyone else is.
Sa SG. Hi, SG.
At the same time, some of the riders behind me, like Samboy behind me, it's his job to call me out if there's a gap. We have to make sure that everyone, all the way to the 20th placed guy, is still in the group. We call this a no drop ride. We have to make sure that everyone is in contact with the entire peloton. If there's a split, then it's our responsibility, it's my responsibility to slow down, perhaps in an intersection or in a downhill. Now there are cases where uphills will be very challenging, and we have to admit, not a lot of people, not everyone have the same fitness level when climbing. In this case, continue doing your tempo instead of braking, and once you reach the summit, we have to practice the courtesy of waiting for everyone on the downhill. And all we have to do is not to bomb the downhill, just coast until everyone catches up. And once we have confirmation that the last guy has attached to us, then we continue the smooth tempo. On long rides, it does not help if you keep on accelerating, decelerating, accelerating, attacking every climb. You always have to look at the bigger picture. 133 kilometers is not short. It's very long. So you have to have the patience. Once we reach Lipa, Batangas, all the uphill is already finish. Well, except for buso-buso. This is where we can practice our big ring, low RPM conditioning program that we usually practice in Clark, because then we can ride at the same speed of 35, 40 kilometers per hour, but at a significantly lower heart rate. Remember, majority of us on this ride, specifically the CRZ boys and girls, are not young men and women anymore. Majority of us are on the late 40s, early 50s. So pumping those heart valves beyond our capability would not really be fun for us. So instead, we try to employ whatever we learned on torque training by going on a low cadence style. Regardless of your style, regardless of your cadence, at the end of the day, if you arrive at the finish line all together at the same speed, then it's all good. Also, the reason why we want to do this low RPM, low heart rate style of riding is we know that there's still the buso-buso climb. Buso-buso is one of those things that you will never forget once you get there. 25% to 22% gradient of a climb, finishing it off with a 12-kilometer climb in Sampaloc. So we just had to enjoy the whole route here in Lipa, passing through SM Lipa, very famous for its delicacies and lomi, which we will be stopping by during this trip. But since we were really catching on and trying to focus on finishing early, some of the boys decided that good speed is more relaxing than stopping, going, stopping, and going. So I was pretty happy with the whole group. Everyone knew what they were doing. This group that we also combined with, they really showed how good they are in riding open traffic. Everyone knew their places. Nobody was shouting. Everyone was very respectful of other bikers and motorists. And everyone knew how to practice baseline riding. And what I really like is that nobody panics. Everyone knew how to use hand signals. When there's a gap, there's no sprinting to close the gap. Although sometimes there are occasional challenges, and you can see this up front, where they try to speed up a little bit just to spice up the riding. But majority of it, everyone knew how to ride in baseline. And whenever you ride with a group of riders like this, cycling becomes, you can say, exciting. We saw Coach Abet, we saw Nikki here, and up ahead, Kuya Popoy was the one leading us. And this guy, huge engine, he can just really keep up a steady speed of 40 kilometers per hour. In front of Kuya Popoy is Z. Z just came back from a very long holiday, and behind Kuya Popoy is Nikki, the guy in green. So Nikki used to be a volleyball player but decided to get into cycling, and I think his physique is perfect for cycling because obviously standing almost 6 feet, he's got really good power. And as for me, I just had to make sure that I conserve a lot of energy by not following unnecessary accelerations. What we do is that whenever someone accelerates, instead of standing up and closing the gap, just slowly put a little bit of power on the pedals and slowly accelerate, making sure that your heart rate does not spike up. On the left, Coach Abet goes to the front, pushes the pace. You just let them go, just drift, and then slowly adjust your speed until you catch them. And this happens clockwork. Kuya Popoy decided to join the fun, overtakes on the left, and he slowly improves the speed, increases the speed, and slots in when you're done. This is a normal practice by a group of cyclists. So to cut the trip short, then we reached the Buso Buso summit. At this point, there was like a lead group of cyclists, including Kuya Popoy and Coach Abet. This is Coach Abet with me. In front of us is the group of Kuya Popoy. But, well, whenever I see this nasty climbs, you just have to really lock and make sure that your shoes are tight. In front of us is a 25% gradient, and it happens now. Coach Abet is a really, really good smooth climber. He was just like dancing on the pedals. And you can clearly see who's a really good climber and who's a survival climber. And I think majority of us, we are called social climbers because, well, we just try to survive. And those are Kuya Popoy. They were 100 meters ahead of us. Coach Abet was, how do I describe it? He was just floating on the pedals. Like, it was just beautiful watching him standing up and keeping those RPMs going. Well, in my case, as usual, just have to manage. No choice, but the only reward here is as long as you don't step off the bike and walk, I think that is a success in itself. So how do I do my own climbing? The problem with not really a problem, but the challenge of my bike is that I only have one gear. It's a single chainring, 58 tooth in front. And the only way I can manage my effort to stay with Coach Abet is I cannot stand up. If I stand up, I'm gonna be stressing my lower back, stressing my biceps, triceps, literally the whole body system. And if I do that, my heart will spike, my lower back will start getting into a spasm mode. And once that happens, I don't think I'm gonna be surviving this 22% grade climb. So the trick that I figured is just stay seated, use your hamstrings, use your quads, use your calves, but at the same time, for you to be very effective, I have to be very conscious of keeping my upper body as steady as possible. Sometimes it's unavoidable for me to, well, rock from side to side, but it's just really, really difficult. But as much as possible, the way you hold your bike will dictate how you will ride steep gradients. And this is the foundation of our biomechanics program, including the bike fitting, is we put a premium on how you hold your hoods. If your hoods are too far away and it gives you numb fingers, I don't think you're gonna be able to survive long ascents. So from this angle, you can see the distance of my hand to my knee, the distance of my elbow to my knee. It's almost touching because it gives me the guarantee that I'm gonna be able to use my abdominal muscles. If it's too far, it's like I'm doing a plank. And doing a plank, as you know, gives a lot of stress on your core muscles. I have to be able to bend my elbows so that I can use my biceps to pull the handlebars towards my stomach. When my right leg is pushing down, my right hand is pulling backward. So it's literally like doing a counter torque, and as soon as the gradient steadies, it allows me to accelerate really fast and survive the climb. So that was Coach Abet, that's Kuya Popoy. Some of the riders will have a little bit of a rest. As for me, my heart rate, I had to go straight all the way to Laurel. Going to the left is going to the black wall, but today we're not gonna go to the black wall. Today we're just gonna go ride the final 30 kilometers of the same route because I could hear thunderstorms on the background. So I just had to time trial on my own for the final 30 kilometers from Buso Buso all the way to Sampaloc. So this whole straight road, no cars, asphalted roads, it's just beautiful to time trial. And I think this is where my 58 chainring really helps me, because now I can go up to speed at a lower cadence, keeping my heart rate low, and overall it becomes less stressful for me, and it allows me to go at the same speed as everyone else at 50 RPM or sometimes 45 RPM, and gives me a lot of reserved energy going up to the final climb, 12-kilometer climb. Sometimes I have to put my hands on the drops just to make my frontal surface area as small as possible, because as you can see on the map, everything is flat, and on the flat section, the smaller your frontal area, the faster you can go. But before I head up to the final 12-kilometer climb, I decided to make a detour and take a little bit of a cool off. It was super hot, whole day of riding. I'm approaching the 6-hour mark of riding, so I had to find myself a good source of cold water to keep my internal body temperature as low as possible, because one of the things that we try to emphasize to a lot of our riders is internal thermal regulation is very important.
Shit,
So I decided to stop
you're the best.
and try to unload some of the internal heat of the body, because once you start working with elevated temperature internally, you're gonna lose a lot of power. I was very lucky that a local car wash shop, they were very kind to let me use their back room, and I really took advantage of the super cold water. The more that I cool off my skin, the more that internal heat gets dissipated, and this will allow my internal body temperature to really go lower, and this would allow me to operate at a better performance level. So from here, I've got 12 kilometers to go, and it's a straight shot all the way to the finish line. The only saving grace is this climb is steady, not too steep. Average gradient elevates from 6% to 10%, but no more of those 22%. So now that I'm cooled up,
Thank you, sir.
my head refocused. Have you ever experienced that moment when it's so hot and you get inside a 7-Eleven store, and next thing you know, because of the aircon, you don't want to get out anymore? So it's the same effect. Once your internal body temperature goes down, it gives you a little bit more confidence to go up the final 12-kilometer climb. And this was more mental than physical. 12 kilometers is a long way, but if this is the route that you will see on those 12 kilometers, it's just up to you how you can entertain yourself. No trucks, no tricycles, no dogs, no crazy blockage from traffic. All you have to do is now focus on a rhythm that you can extend all the way to the finish line. One of the techniques that I do is that I try to avoid excessive accelerations, excessive standing up, because if you can see from this map, it's a long winding road going all the way up from lake level all the way to 2,800 feet. I had to employ low RPM just because I can't afford to spike my heart rate anymore. But the saving grace in Sampaloc and Tagaytay is as you progress on the climb, the climate starts to become better, cooler. Sometimes there's this occasional fog, but for this specific day, I was very lucky to be greeted by a thunderstorm. Well, I was just really lucky at the 126-kilometer mark that the rain was just barely about to arrive. And then I see the finish line from far away.
Finish line.
It just gives you more confidence that that is the building that I have to target 9 kilometers away. But at least now you know that you are 9 kilometers away from home. As I manage every switchback, every curve, every chicane, it just gives you more confidence that every pedal stroke brings you home. And as soon as I reach the top with 2 kilometers to go, I just missed the rain. Everything was cooler, gave me more confidence, and finally, I find McDonald's.
Finally. Holy shit, here we go. Yeah. Oh, now I'm hungry. Touchdown. Okay. Whew. Damn, that was hard. Super hard. Stop the clock. There you go. And then save. 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 Saving. Done. Oh man. Solid. Thanks for the warm welcome. Oh, no, I mean freezing welcome. Okay, I'm just gonna have coffee for a while. Coffee, sir. Yeah. Whew. We're gonna have a coffee. Yeah, coffee. Man, thank you very much, huh? Appreciate it. Okay. I'm glad I missed that rain. I barely made it before the rain. Perfect. Wow, I'm shaking. CRZ. Wow, look at that. I barely made it. Looks like we made it. Thank you. Now it's raining. I barely made it. The moment that I touched down, done. So at least now I get to have coffee for a moment. We'll see you in a moment. We're gonna go to Tito Ray's house blessing. Wow. Evening time. Woohoo! That's the best drama ever. Please. I want to introduce to you the secret is long hair. Yeah. Okay. That's the secret. Yeah. How's the turon? Kumusta yung turon mo?
No, it's a pansit.
Ay, sa pansit.
Chicharon yung kanina.
Chicharon.
Mga naiwan.
Okay. Oh, na murder, oh. Oh my gosh. Murder.
Pansit is the best.
Pansit is the best.
Wala
Oh, naka-helmet pa to.
Yes, alright. Uy, pre, hindi yung box naman.
Okay, enjoy. Girls, enjoy. See you soon.
Barbon PI. EE brakes. Wow. EHM. Sakto lang. Ayos siya.
Okay, I've got content already.
7 kg. 6.
We have our friends from the Middle East. Apparently, he learned how to speak Tagalog just now. You did, right? So apparently, he's the Sheikh of
Dubai.
Sheikh of Dubai. But that's a good thing about cycling, huh? We all speak the same language as long as you're on two wheels. So just like what we mentioned before in our program, we're gonna be visiting the Middle East sometime soon. So we have our local boys over here visiting us now.
This is my number in Dubai.
So now there's an exchange of numbers.
Perfect.
So remember,
Thank you.
just in case you need any Gcash. No. Is he sending you Gcash?
No, it's a gold.
Okay. See you, Francis.
Ay! At least nakita ko si Idol.
Okay.
Buti wala ka sa ibang bansa ngayon.
Rest.
Okay.
Bye.
Cycling transcends boundaries and unites us in a language of shared passion. It's a world where smiles and good vibes have the power to transform entire days, creating connections that go beyond background or status. A simple hello or wave can brighten someone's day and foster a sense of community among strangers. Through cycling, I've discovered the beauty of diverse cultures and learned to appreciate the richness they bring to our lives. It has shown me that sports aren't just about cutthroat competition, but can also serve as a platform for building communities and fostering understanding. In a time when social interactions were limited due to COVID lockdowns, the value of face-to-face friendships became even more evident. We realize the significance of these connections only when they are absent. Cycling has allowed me to embrace this truth and cherish every moment of togetherness. Let's remember that life is a journey best enjoyed in the company of others. So, spread kindness, share your passion for cycling, and let's continue to build a world where every hello and every pedal stroke brings us closer together.
Cycling Club. Pinoys in Malaysia.
Thank you for joining me on this cycling journey. I hope you've enjoyed and learned something valuable from my vlogs. If you found them insightful, don't hesitate to share with your friends. Remember, cycling is more than just a sport. It's a lifestyle that transcends age. Together, we can cultivate a positive culture by embracing simplicity and focusing on personal growth. It's not about the brand, but about maximizing your potential. Stay connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more inspiring content. Keep pedaling towards a brighter future.
I'm gonna wake up early now.
Et le vainqueur de ce Tour de France, c'est lui, le coureur danois.
166K or 137. Yes,
the winner of the 109th edition of the Tour de France, representing
Yellow jersey. Neon amateur.
Voilà, qui va recevoir bien sûr le maillot jaune, le lion XL en présence d'Anne Hidalgo, Madame le maire de Paris et de Michel Mathieu, directeur général de
congratulated by Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, alongside Michel Mathieu, the general manager
Because
of
of you.
LCA.
It's because of you, Tom. Thank you very much. These guys were great guys.
Il est revenu bien sûr avec l'enfant, le postillon, et bien, on va dire que la famille Vingegaard va sans doute faciliter à trouver quelques peluches à offrir à la petite Frida le soir quand elle aura du mal à s'endormir.
Again, just celebrating the moment here every single day, telling us, you know, we still have a few more stages. We have to cut the finish line. We have to go all the way. You are here now. You've made it all the way. On top of the world.
Voilà, et on entend le public évidemment qui crie son nom. Beaucoup de supporters danois présents, bien sûr, tout au long du parcours. Le Danemark, eh bien, nouvelle nation très forte du cyclisme international.
And first place with a time of 2 hours, 26 minutes and 44 seconds. Bib number 334, Leon Cruz. Give it up for the gravel men 40 to 49 age group. These are the OGs. Yes, nice one. Congrats, guys. All right, here we go. Moving along, 30 to 39.
Fair play.
Congrats, sir.
Fair play, man. Fair play.